Hi everyone, thank you for joining us today. My name's Inga, I'm a content developer at Zealed and I'll be moderating the webinar today. Finding new ways to improve your website is so important for the future of your business, and that's why we're sharing some of the key elements that your website will need for online success. Our speaker with us today is John Hoomer. He's an agency director at Zealed, and he's been in the industry for over 20 years and has a long history of excellence and passion for what he does. In a moment, he'll tell you everything you need to know about what elements you need on your website for online success. Here's a quick run through of how the webinar will run today. If you'd like to ask us a question, please send a message in the chat mode or question mode in the gray panel to the right. You can message us privately or publicly, it's up to you. And if you click the gray hand button that says speak at the bottom of the screen, you can also request to speak to us instead. After the webinar, we'll be sending out a replay of the video. So if you missed anything while listening or writing things down, you can always catch up with it at a later date. The Q&A is at the end of the session, but if you'd like, please tell us one thing about your website that you'd like to change. We also have a special offer for attendees of the webinar today. Where is it? You should be seeing it now, but if you don't, please let us know in the chat mode. These online strategy sessions are so helpful. You can use them to discuss your business and your website, and they're a really great starting point. So without further ado, here's John to tell you everything you need, the elements for your website that'll make it successful.
Kia ora, Inga. Tēnā koutou katoa, and to those who have streamed into this live webinar, we welcome you. We hope that you find this webinar helpful. And as Inga already mentioned earlier, essentially I'm here to just tell you some practical tactics and tools and share with you some real simple tips to enable you to help your website become more successful. Let's just cover off what we intend presenting today. Look, we're gonna dive into these following aspects of your website, and we're gonna kick off with the hero image on your landing page or your home page of your site. We're going to talk a little bit about the design and layout of your website. We'll talk a little bit also about the benefit-based headlines, calls to action, and how those are very important on your homepage or any second level page that you're wanting to convert that particular end user or buyer to take that next action. We'll talk about how important trust and credibility is, particularly if you're in service-based, if you're in a service-based business, how that can really help increase your conversion to inquiries. That then nicely leads us into conversion pathways. We'll talk about filtering and how that's really important to help the end user get to what they want to find out, but then also make a purchase or make an inquiry. We'll then cover off lead magnets and how that also ties into the website and enables you to then stay connected with that either new customer that's entered your site or the customer that you've already got, which leads us into retargeting and how retargeting can really help increase your purchase and your annual ARPA. And then we'll finish off with after sales and how after lead follow-up can really help generate you more business. Okay, so let's get into it. So with any type of website, whether you're a service-based website or whether you're an online shop or whether you're a business-to-business, a hero image really makes a huge statement. And the reason why it makes a huge statement is because the hero image is the first checkbox of any engagement in your visitor's mind. The image needs to appeal to the compelling need. And so I'll ask you this question to think about. When you are searching for something, whether it's a service or a product, and you search for that particular phrase on, let's just say, for example, Google then presents you with a whole list of potential customers, or potential providers, I should say, providers that enables you to pick and choose who you're going to choose to research on. If you were to open up that particular, or click on any one of those links, if the image on that homepage of that website that you open up doesn't resonate with what you're actually looking for, then you're going to bounce. You're going to come out of that website thinking, well, that was a complete waste of time. And so the image needs to appeal to the compelling need of the customer. So whoever your audience is, whoever your customer is, and whatever they're looking for off the back of your services that you provide or the products that you're selling, it needs to have it needs to resonate with that buyer, with that end user. So the right hero image or video content that's actually in that hero image module or placement on or layout on that website homepage, it creates a perceived value to the product or the service that you offer. Okay, and so hero images are vitally important to enable you to capture that audience in the first couple of seconds that they enter into your site. Okay. Second is design. Obviously, with design and a lot of different types of businesses say that a highly polished design is better off than a better conversion on homepage. I beg to differ. I look at functionality and design can work well together. But when you are looking at design, you need to ensure that there's certain elements in that layout of the design of the homepage, and even on a landing or specials page, or even on a product or second level interior page, that design affects the engagement rate and conversion of a website. So flashy videos or flashy things that are coming inside the homepage of a website, yeah, it might look flash, but if it's not providing the end user what the end user wants, then it's going to ultimately affect the conversion rate of the website when that end user or buyer comes into your site. So design affects the engagement rate and conversion of the website. Often people, when entering into a website, they use an F format. And what I mean by an F format is, if I was to give you an example, and I hope you can see my cursor that I'm scrolling here, but what normally happens is that when a human mind views a website, they normally start at the top left-hand corner of the homepage. They then scroll down slightly to the above the fold, and then they scroll back up, and then they then go across to the right, and then they come back to the top left-hand corner again. They come to the middle of the page, and then they scroll to the right again. So that's what I mean around this F format, is that on any homepage, and I'll pretend that this is a homepage here. My cursor is my eyes, where my eyes are going. I'll come to the left-hand side of the homepage, where we would predominantly expect to see the logo. I would then scroll down, and then I would go back up. This is exactly what human eyes do. They then scroll across, and when they scroll across, they're often looking for the different potential menu of the website. What, their homepage, their about us, their gallery, their services, their products, their contact us. Okay, and then they scroll back to the logo again, scroll through to the middle, and then they scroll across. So the reason why I'm sharing this particular element of success is that if that's where human eyes are looking, then you need to have something there that is going to enable that end user to be enticed and lured into your conversion funnel of your site. Okay, which then leads me on to the next bullet point around main navigation. Messaging and conversion points need to be in the eye line of the user. And so if I was to sort of help you think about when you're considering a redesign or even a website design. Ensure that your logo was in the top left-hand corner. Ensure that your contact us details, phone number is in bold on the right-hand corner of the top page of the homepage. The reason for that is because that's where people are looking. They're looking on the top left-hand corner first, scrolling down, looking back up, and then they're scrolling right across to the top right-hand corner. So have the detail for you to be contacted at least, for your end user to find you, to get in touch with you, to contact you. Okay. And lastly, that last bullet point there, the design should be logical and clean, providing sound navigation to required areas for conversion and for the visitor to a client or customer. Okay. And so although design can have a fantastic look and feel, ensure that these elements, simple elements that enable you to showcase that end user to, one, get in touch with you, to make contact with you, and to ensure that, especially if it's above the fold, and what I mean by above the fold is what you see when the home page opens. Because when you enable the end user to scroll on that home page, they then go to the below the fold. Okay, and then there's other elements that you need to consider there as well, which ends up being specific components or modules that are related to your second level pages and second interior level pages of your site. Okay. All right. Benefit-based headlines. Okay. This is an area that I think that in some cases, for service-based businesses, it works really, really well. It also works really well with online shopping, because it really just enables to showcase the benefits to the customer or client in doing business with you. These need to be customer focused, and essentially showcasing the WIFM, or what is in it for them, you know. And so think about the WIFM question. What is it in it for me? And put yourself in that customer's shoes. What's in it for them, you know? And so showcasing a benefit-based headline enables you to increase your chances of enabling the end user to do what you want them to do. Because essentially, if you think about it, you've heavily invested in a website, and you know you want to showcase your services, your products on this website. When any customer, regardless of how much traffic you're getting into your site, lands on your homepage or website, you want to give them every chance to convert. And by having a benefit-based headline, it enables you to do business with them. Being client-centric drives engagement. It adds perceived value, and it creates a greater desire to look further into the website. So it really, I almost think of it as you're chucking bait on an end of a hook off a fishing line, and you're just luring them in. But you've given them in your benefit-based headline what they actually came to the website to look for. Okay, so look for something unique, something that sets you apart, something that's really valuable to the end user or the buyer to do business with you. Okay. Calls to actions. I think in any website you require a call to action. If you've built, or if you've got an existing website and you haven't got that many call to actions, I encourage you to enable and have call to actions. It's a really important and critical element on any landing page or any home page or any website page. Call to actions can actually be on your home page It can actually also be on special pages, which are also second interior level pages, or could also be on other product pages, or service pages, or in this case, requesting a consultation page. So having the call to action on the website enables the end user through the conversion pathway of the site to do what you want them to do. And because if you're like me, I'm really impatient. I often, if I'm trying to search for something, if I can't find it in that first 4 or 5 seconds once landing on a website, I come out of that website and go to another provider or another service provider. And so enabling your website to provide the customer with everything that they need so that they don't go away enables you to then capture them, to then get them into your conversion funnel, which is enabling the call to actions. It should be a phrase that lets users know what they should do next once they arrive on the site. The actions you want users to take should align with the business objectives. It should be highly visible, designed well. It should draw a lot of interest and be concise and to the point. So in this case, in Zeald's example here in this slide is that we've enabled a special page where we just, on this above the fold, once again, above the fold, we've got the hero image there, we've got the benefit-based headline, and then we've got a call to action. The call to action in this case, or in this example, is get a free website consultation now. That's what we want the end user to do. Nothing else. Yeah, sure, we want them to scroll down or perhaps maybe even click on that chatbot. But in this case, the call to action is we want them to connect with us. We want them to make an inquiry so that we can reach out to them and have a consultation with them. Okay. And lastly, give a clear benefit for visitors to the site and inspire them to take the next step. Okay. So call to actions is critically important for any website. Okay, here's a expert tip. I don't want to just be presenting to you all this morning, but I want to make it practical. I also want to make it valuable. So here's an expert tip. Go to your website after the webinar. Close your eyes as it loads, and then look and see, and ask yourself this: what is the most prominent element on the homepage that loads in? If it's not the call to action, then consider making changes. Okay, or book in a time with us and we can help you make those changes. Trust and credibility. This is I actually enjoy trust and credibility because it really enables the end user to connect with you and to also hear your story. It will be hard to convince people to part with their money or inquire about your service if they don't first trust you to a basic level. Employing trust and credibility elements where appropriate and inappropriate places on your website will assist with ensuring that you develop enough trust and credibility to have the person reach out or purchase from you in the case of an e-commerce store. Okay. I was just thinking about trust and credibility. There's obviously two types of businesses. There's the service-based businesses, and then there's online shopping. Okay, then you have the normal retail stores that you can just go in and purchase. But for most websites, and if you haven't purchased from them in the past, oftentimes as an end user, as a buyer, your guard is up very, very high in the sense that, yeah, sure, I'm looking for something, I'm looking for a service, or I'm looking for something to purchase. I've already made a commitment to enter a site and to even consider, reviewing service providers' offerings or products, and then making a decision whether or not I'm going to connect with them make an inquiry if it's a service-based business, or purchase a product if it's an e-commerce shop. One thing that often lowers anyone's or my guard is if that business tells me one of the following: the process of what they take the end user through, an upfront cost and what value you're getting from it, but also experiences from other potential buyers, so testimonials, project modules where this was a project might be something like, this was the issue and this was the customer's problem. This was the challenge that we needed to overcome, and this was the outcome. And by the service provider telling me that, it enables me to lower my guard and increase my chances to purchase or to make an inquiry. I'll give you an example. We're obviously looking at doing, purchasing a pergola shade, and so I went around researching. I had a couple of quotes come in, and trust and credibility was my main, sort of barrier, because everyone was saying the same thing. But trust and credibility was the main thing. And so what got me over the line was the process that any customer would go through and the level of customer service that I would be getting if I was to purchase from the service provider. And so if you're able to tell your story through the process, enabling the end user to answer all of their questions, then share that on the website. Okay. And so in this case here, what we've got here in Zealed is a whole bunch of case studies of who the customer was, what their problem was, the challenge that we needed to overcome, the solution that we provided, and then the outcome. Okay. All right. Here's another expert tip. How well are you doing on the trust and credibility front? Just some bullet point questions. How professional is your website layout and design? Do you have an SSL certificate? An SSL certificate enables your website to capture data from anyone entering their data into their site, and for your site to keep their data safe. An SSL certificate, which I'll probably show you later on, is essentially a lock, like this here in the top left-hand corner where I've got my cursor scrolling over, a lock. It means that Webinar Jam is safe. Okay, this link is safe. The third bullet point there is your About Us page sufficient? Have you told your story to your customer about who you are? Because that really builds trust and credibility. Do people know at a glance that it's easy to do business with you? And what are your testimonials like? Okay. If you are not convinced, how will potential clients be? Okay. Conversion pathways. I've sort of talked a little bit about this or summarized a little bit about this earlier on. But essentially all the elements that I've already sort of talked about sort of come scrolling into this whole sort of conversion pathway journey. A conversion pathway or path to purchase is exactly that. The steps that a user needs to take in order to be able to find the product or information on the service that they need in order to make a decision, be it reaching out for more information or purchasing a product online. In this case, the conversion pathway for this particular example is we wanted John search for whatever it was that he was searching for on Google, land on his website. Once he's gone through the site and realize, yep, this is the business that that I would like to make contact with, then the conversion pathway here is create an account. Why create an account? Because then it locks me in and enables me to be able to then do further business with this business. Okay. So conversion pathways are important throughout the whole entire site. It also enables the web builder, to create a map, a customer journey map throughout the site to enable us to increase the chances of that end user doing business with you, whether it be an inquiry or a purchase. Okay, so conversion pathways. In this case, we're collecting data and information, and we're enabling the end user to see what information we require to be able to enable them to sign up to whatever it might be. Okay, sign up to be an account holder to make further purchases, or subscribe to some type of subscription model, or anything else. Okay, filtering. For any business that is offering services and more than 3 or 4 services, and that have subsidiary services under the main heading of a service, or if anyone is in e-commerce or has an online shop and has multiple products and multiple variables of that product, then filtering can become really effective. The reason why filtering can become really effective is because it enables the end user to get to what they want to get to quicker, but it also increases the chances of your conversion pathway working for you. To aid the conversion process, and for those websites that have many products on a category page, it may be necessary to apply a filter to create a further shortcut so that the customer can find the specific product they want without going through page after page or products. Okay, so in this example here, King Seeds, they have over I think over about 15,000 SKUs, and so they need filtering. Okay, in this particular example here, but you might be a cafe that is doing online ordering as well, and so you might have a run of 30 products, and you may want to be able to filter what categories of menu that you have, etc. So enabling the end user to do that enables you to have a higher conversion of converting them to make a purchase. For service-based businesses, and I've got a chiropractor who does a number of different services as a result of being a chiropractor. She's got filtering because she doesn't only just offer normal chiropractor services, she also does feet and orthodontist work as well, and so she has a filter there to enable her to funnel her customers through to be able to provide their customer that service. Okay, another expert tip. What's your conversion pathway like? And in this example, we ask you to perhaps maybe ask a friend of yours to find a specific product on your website. And if it takes more than 4 clicks, you may have an issue. Okay. If they're able to find what they find within 2 or 3 clicks, then that's fine. But just review your conversion pathway on your existing site, and if you require more information, feel free to contact us. All right, we're getting to the conclusion of this webinar. I've only got 3 or 4 slides left, but obviously I've taken you through a journey on your existing site, or taking you through a journey of elements on your website that could be potentially improved. We then get to the lead magnet, okay, and Netflix does this really, really well. And what a lead magnet is it's really just enter in your email address and just try it, yeah. And the reason for that is because they're trying to give you something for free in exchange for your email address or name. Okay, and so when the decision process for your product is longer than an instant decision, it may be a good idea to provide some free advice and information. or a brochure, free brochure, simply for the cost of an email and name. Okay. This is usually in the form of a downloadable ebook or brochure that are of enough value for someone to swap this for their email address. Okay. You can then use this information to lead nurture and bring it to fruition at the right time. So what I mean by that is, for example, let's just say that you're a service-based business and you offer like a monthly newsletter or brochure, or you might even have an ebook brochure that's available that provides your end user around what challenges you can help them overcome and provide them a service as a result of it. You might have that as an ebook. Well, give that away for free in exchange for the email address. Because once you get that email address, you can then utilize that email address as a potential lead or an inquiry for your business and say, hey, we understand that you 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 know you provided your details for an ebook. Was there anything else that you would like to discuss? Was there anything interesting that you found in that ebook? And so that you can reach out to them and offer any service to them. Okay, and that's the same thing with e-commerce stores as well. I had a customer that that sells woolen socks all over New Zealand, and she's based out of an operation from her home. And she said, "Hey, I've got next to 3,500 customers. What can we do with these 3,500 customers?" Um, and and obviously she's past this stage, but I said, well, you may want to consider just reaching out to them to find out how was the socks. Well, off the back of that email, which I'll get to in the next slide, um, she was able to increase, get further sales because obviously for the percentage of customers that loved the woolen socks that she had provided, that they had purchased, they wanted to purchase more for their other kids. And so little tactics like that really help you increase sales and enable the end user to interact with you, which sort of refers to and leads in nicely to retargeting. If someone comes to your website, that means that there is an intent to purchase or inquire. The fact that they leave doesn't mean that they are not interested. It may just mean that they are checking out another competitor. Okay, but to bring them back with either a dynamic Facebook or display retargeting campaign, get them to come back and purchase. Every website should run a retargeting campaign because all successful websites do. Okay, a retargeting campaign enables you to capture that existing client that potentially came to your site, entered in their email address for a brochure or a free sample or whatever it might be, capture them again by getting them on Facebook with a retargeting campaign. Okay. And lastly, obviously the after sales and after lead follow-up. It is much easier to retain an existing customer than attain a new one. So after sales or after lead follow-up is vital. This may take form of, in which I sort of shared with you earlier, the example about my client who sells woolen socks, providing product delivery updates. I've got another client that updates their clients every month on new products that are coming in. After sales specials. So obviously with specials really can entice, especially with what we're all going through now. Everyone loves specials. So, share it, send an email out to those clients, entice them to do business with you. And lastly, there, follow-up information and after product sales, service, and or advice. Okay. So after sales and after lead follow-up is vitally important. Okay, I might hand the time back over to Inga to see if you have any more questions.
Yep. I actually saw a couple while you were going through your great presentation. Really informative. Glad I could be here for that.
Yeah, thanks, Inga.
Yeah. Sorry, I just need to scroll down and find the first one. Okay, so we've got one from Graham Knights who says, oh, I hate pop-ups that want me to sign up to a newsletter before I've even looked at the web page to understand what they're offering. He wanted to know what your opinion is on pop-ups, pop-up ads, pop-up calls to action.
Yeah, look, I'm not a fan of them either, to be honest. But it's easy enough for me to just click. It takes less than a second to click out of those pop-ups. However, for me, if I'm really looking for something, and I could be different to everyone else, if I know what I'm looking for and not necessarily researching, because when I'm researching, I'm quite happy for the pop-up. Yeah. So if I'm researching and I know that I'm prepared to go to 2 or 3 sites to look at whatever it is that I'm looking for, then I'm quite happy to potentially exchange my details for the pop-up. But if I'm in a hurry and I'm looking at something to make a purchase, then yeah, I'm just like yourself, mate. I'm really impatient and I don't like them. So it really depends on the mind frame that I'm in. And I think that I'm pretty much like most customers, where if you're in a hurry, yeah, those pop-ups can be really annoying. But you're servicing both customers as a provider, as a service provider, as a business owner. What you're actually servicing is you're servicing to a total audience, and the audience actually, it actually entails both types of customers. Does that answer your question?
Scroll up. I think you answered that really well. I mean, I myself, I don't really like pop-ups, but sometimes I just click on them out of curiosity. It depends on the site for me, like how trustworthy it is.
Yeah, like, look, I'll give you an example. My wife and I are looking for an aged care facility for her father, or for my father-in-law. And look, a pop-up for any type of aged care facility, we were quite happy to exchange our details. Yeah. But when I'm going into perhaps maybe Rebel Sport online making a purchase, a pop-up couldn't be the first thing I'd like to do. I know what I'm going to the shop to do. I want to purchase some shoes. Yeah. So I think the reason why a pop-up is important is because you're trying to capture the audience that is quite happy to exchange details. Yeah. That's
Cool. I'll move along to the next one that was also came through earlier. That's really good. Karen asked, should you have a link for Google reviews on your website if you have a service-based business?
Yeah, sure. I think, look, it really helps your credibility and trust with those Google reviews. The only issue that I think you may come across is potential ghosters, where, and it's 1 out of 10 or 1 out of 50 that I've come across where customers have had when I mean customers is business owners, have had an issue where one customer had a bad experience with them. The thing is that Google review stays on there because you have no control as the business owner to try to contact Google to say, can you take it off? But what I think is the main compelling thing here is that you have an opportunity to respond to that review. You may not be able to take the review out or down or delete it, but you have an opportunity to respond to that review. And I think that, cut a long story short, reviews are great because it really builds credibility and trust, not only for service provider businesses or service-based businesses, online shopping businesses as well. I've got many customers that sell their product, and on their product pages, they've got the product image, the price, their variables of whatever it is, their description of that product, and then below the product, they've got Google reviews, because They want to encourage the end user, whoever's looking at that product or whoever is looking at or considering a service, to look at the reviews to go, oh yeah, cool, they've had a good experience. I'm going to make a purchase. I trust them. And so because they've got 3 or 4 reviews here that tell a story, telling how good the process was, I got the product in time, it's telling me everything I should know, or everything I should want to know in order to lower my guard and increase my chances of buying.
Yeah, especially it's because I've seen that on Etsy a couple times where some things have been like really expensive. So seeing those testimonials and like when they've got images with them as well, it's like, okay, I can add this to my bookmark to buy later on because I trust it now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, scrolling through. Got another one from Graham, who spoke about how he finds it better when like going to a website and how they give you the option to create an account, how he prefers to rather sign in as a guest the first time he goes to that website, and he sees creating an account as more of a barrier to the purchase, and he wanted to know what you thought about that.
Yeah, I think like I said, and that's a similar sort of question to the first one. You need to provide and cater for the audience, for a level of, like I said, the trust and credibility is low, when entering a site, and your barrier is up very, very high. And I think it's an element of, if your website is able to lure that end user that's entered into your site and make him or her feel comfortable, or them feel comfortable, it increases the chances of them either creating an account or just logging into a guest. And I think it's all about that trust and credibility. Does the website have a lock, an SSL certificate to prove that they're actually a validated website? Does it have ratings and reviews that show that they've got good credibility? Have they got a well-known history of potential testimonials? And sometimes, and I'll be honest, sometimes testimonials can look quite fake, But but if they've got like an about us that tells you about their story, tells you who they are to start with, that increases my trust straight away, because I now then get a feel of who they are. But what really does it for me is the projects modules. And what I mean by projects is when they've told us, or case studies, for example. Case studies really tell you who they are, because it tells you a live example of, hey, this was our customer, this was their problem, this was our solution, and this was the outcome. It tells you the process. It tells you everything that you should know. And so that often lowers my guard and increases my trust to then make a decision on, am I going to log in as a guest, or am I going to log in as an account? The other thing too is that you need to also probably consider, well, what are you logging in as an account for? Okay, is it to log into an account so that you can create a purchase, for example? And Graham, you're similar to my wife. She likes to log in as a guest, make a purchase from Rebel Sport. I'm the totally opposite. I know, because I trust Rebel, that I'm just going to create an account and make a purchase, because I don't want to have to keep continually putting in my email address, phone number, address, if I'm going to purchase from them again.
Yeah, but I've only had that issue where when I've been trying to like order dog food, and then my normal provider that I would go to, like, they don't have it, and then because I'm still loyal to that one, I'll go to another site and then I'll sign in as a guest.
And
I don't want to make that commitment.
Because your trust levels, right? You trust your existing provider. You don't really trust this other provider, even though your existing provider doesn't have the dog food that you're wanting. And so you're going to use this other, logical. That's totally logical.
Oh, I think we've got another question from Balma. She says, there are lots of Flash hero images that companies purchase online. Is it better to have an honest picture of the service in action, especially for a service working with people?
Yeah, good question.
Yeah.
I think if you don't have the budget to spend a lot of money on a photo or a camera that can take real life photos, because I always encourage any customer that's dealing with us, provide us with the photos, provide us with real life photos, or staging photos that a camera of yours has taken. I think that those types of photos are really, really good. However, stock images are also good. But I'll give you an example. I'm working with a Pacific Island business organization. If they had stock images that had, and I'll just use the Caucasian male, female, it doesn't emulate what the organization's about, and so we had to look at, is there any stock images that have Pacific Island imagery on it? None of them had them on it.
Yeah.
And so the conversation had to be had was, okay, we need some real life Pacific Island imagery to enable us to really make it authentic that that this organization is all about Pacifica. And so they had to they used their iPhone, I think 10 or 11 or whatever it was, and they took images of that and provided that for us. That was sufficient enough for us to then crop, make it a high resolution, and then be able to load as a hero image. But yeah, it needs to be. I think it needs to be authentic. It also, if it's not authentic, is there stock imagery that align with the project, with your business, with your values, etc.
Yeah, that's great. I'm not seeing any more other questions from the chat, but I believe we had some pre-set up questions in advance, so I'll just go through those. What are some examples of hero images to use on a website? Like, is it just images, or is videos good as well?
Yeah, I think it's a bit of both. I think it's got to be one or the other. I think with a video, obviously, when you're looking and considering video as your hero image, it's going to take a lot of bandwidth off your hosting, and so you need to think about speed. So if you have considered a video as your hero image, you need to think about, okay, when an end user uploads my website and is waiting for 3 or 4 seconds for something to appear, then you need to consider your hosting to be able to generate enough power to load it quickly. Okay, so that's the only thing that you probably need to consider if you're considering video. Imagery, you need an image that is going to be tailored to your service or to your products.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. The notes is going down. Another question we have is, what should be included in your website's navigation?
Yeah, sure. I think actually I might just share my screen if it's okay.
Give me a second. Oh, I did stop the presentation. Yeah.
Let me just share my screen. Look, while that's sort of coming up. Okay, can you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. So this is one of my clients, Neptune's Linen. Okay, as you can see here, I've come into the site. I'll just do the same thing. I'll look over here. I'll look down. There's a call to action there. Cool. I'll look back up. I'll look across. Navigation and menu. You can have slightly different types of things that you want. In this case here, the end user or the business just wants people to come and shop, either look for gifts, look for any new arrivals, go to their specials page, or review their blog. And then they've got above the fold call to actions. Okay, they've got call to actions here: come and shop or design your bedroom. Okay, and then I think at the back of my video here, which I can't see, I think there's contact details there, or their login like to shop. Okay, and so if you look at this particular example, which is another customer of mine, they've got the normal kind of things that you would expect in a menu. You got home, shop by goals if you're wanting, shop by brands, about us, all products for the ladies, specials, social media, contact us, macro calculator, and calorie calculator. But the hero image, you know, you know that you're entering into a supplements store by just the hero image, and you've got the shop now, which is the call to action. Okay, those have been both two e-commerce stores. Let me just take you to a service-based business where we've got one of my clients here who's a builder. He's got the traditional menu: home, services, about us, gallery, testimonials, and then contact us. Okay, got a nice benefit-based headline there, and then a whole bunch of call to actions here. Okay, but just a simple example of what I think is a very effective menu.
Yeah. Do you think it's better to have it more detailed or with as little link options as possible?
I think with service-based businesses, you don't have to have it too detailed, unless you're providing 50 million services. But if you're providing up to 3 or 4 different services, then a simple menu like this is fine. Obviously, if you're an online shop, you would either anticipate to see one of the following: something that looks similar to this, or something that looks similar to this, but with the filters. Okay,
Right.
and this is just an example of filtering. Okay, so dropping everything down, enabling the end user to pick and choose what they want, and then go to the category that they want to look at, the different products that are available, and then click on the product.
Right.
Okay.
Yep. Since you were going through the websites, I've got another question I wanted to ask. How many calls to action should there be on one web page?
Look, I think that because when you're thinking about a web page, you're thinking about the whole homepage, if that makes sense. So you're talking about everything on this page. Okay, I would say a bare minimum of 2.
Yeah.
A bare minimum of 2. But you could have up to 3 or 4 on one page. The reason for that is because if you're like Graham and I, who potentially don't really trust the website that you've first gone to for the first time, you might see a couple of call to actions there. Oh no, I don't want to do that. I'll scroll down. I want them to sell. I want them to really build a trust and credibility with me. Oh, cool. It's got free shipping. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, looks like they look after their customers. Oh, yeah, quality products. Okay, they're starting to talk the right stuff. Let's have a look here. Let's scroll down. Yep, all these images look fantastic. That's exactly the type of linen that I'm looking for. Shop now. Oh, no, I don't want to shop right now. Oh, we are passionate about our designer, high quality. Actually, I know some of these brands. They're building my credibility and trust. My guard is going down. They never got me in the first 2, but they're going to get me with this next one. And so that's what I mean by, bare minimum of 2 call to actions on a page. But you could have up to 3 or 4, and in some cases you might even have 5. But essentially what you're wanting to do is, if you don't get them above the fold, get them the next time when they're scrolling down.
Right. And does that vary for like e-commerce versus service businesses, or?
I think for service businesses, because you're not selling a product and you haven't got a hell of a lot to sort of show off in regards to imagery, then a minimum of 2. But once again, you might on that homepage, and let's just see what. So he's got. He's got a couple of call to actions there. He's got another call to action here, learn more. And then he's got email us here. Oh, actually, he's got 5 here. So, yeah. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 4, 5, 6. Essentially, you can have as many as you wish. Because the thing is that you're just wanting them to do what you want them to do, which is just make contact. Because you know, and I would propose this to those who are on this webinar, you know that if anyone contacts you, you have a higher chance of closing them than anyone else. You know, and so, or you have a higher chance of pre-qualifying whether or not you would like to take on their business to start with than anyone else. Okay, so yeah, give them every opportunity to say yes and not to move on to some other competitor.
Yeah. And while you've got the websites open, I've got one other question. How do you write a strong benefit-based headline, like copy-wise?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think, first of all, I think you need to make the headline unique, but simple. Yeah. And what I mean by simple is be specific with your headline, in the sense that if you know your customer or your audience, you know exactly what they're looking for. So keep it specific and keep it simple. Convey a sense of urgency so that it enables them to miss out, but provide something useful. I think that's what really helps you create a strong benefit-based headline.
Yeah. Cool. I think that is all the questions we have today. So I think we'll close this up.
Awesome.
Yep. Cool. I'll get the presentation back on. Yep. Thank you for answering all those questions. That was really great. Really informative.
Yep. No worries.
I'm sure everyone's going to walk away with like a full notebook full of notes for how they're going to go and change their website now.
Cool.
Cool. So I'll go to the next one. Quick reminder, everyone, if you wanted to sign up for one of the free online strategy sessions, now is the last chance to do that. Our next webinar on May 25th is going to be sharing 5 ways of differentiating yourself from your competitors online. Now, that's a little while away. So in the meantime, please visit our webinar library to access more resources about digital marketing and more. And what was I saying? Sorry, I just lost my notes. We've arrived at the end of our webinar. We'd like to thank you for sharing your questions with us and taking the time to learn with us today. And we hope you've gained some insight into the different elements you can use to improve your website for more success online. We'll be sending out the webinar replay shortly after the session. Please let me know if you don't see that email anytime in the next couple hours. And don't forget to register for the next webinar on May 25th. See you soon. Bye.